Many years may pass, but these games will never be forgotten by any of us. Whether because of their memorable stories, engaging gameplay, or even the special moment in our lives when we played them, each one left its mark. In their own way, they captured the hearts of millions of gamers around the world, defined generations, and made us fall even more in love with video games. They prove that you don't need cutting-edge technology to create truly unforgettable experiences. Sleeping Dogs, I have to start with a game that I honestly feel like the world owes an apology to. Sleeping Dogs is hands down one of the most underrated masterpieces in the history of this medium. I remember when it first came out, everyone was calling it a GTA clone, but man, they were so wrong. The first time I stepped into the shoes of Wei Shen, an undercover cop torn between the triads and the police, I was hooked. The atmosphere of Hong Kong is so thick. The night markets, the rain slicking the neon-lit streets, the smell of street food almost coming through the screen. It felt alive in a way very few cities do. The combat? Oh man, it's a total dream. It's not just mindless shooting, it's brutal, crunching kung fu. I spent hours just finding new ways to use the environment, like slamming a bad guy's head into an AC unit, or using a phone booth to finish a fight. It felt visceral, real, and way more satisfying than your average brawler. Wei Shen is such a complex protagonist, too. You really feel the weight of his choices as his two lives start to bleed into each other. It's a tragedy we never got a sequel, because this game had more soul in its pinky finger than most big-budget titles have in their entire campaign. It's a 10 out of 10 that everyone needs to experience. Number 2, The Last of Us Part 1. Next up is a game that basically redefined how we talk about storytelling in games, The Last of Us Part 1. I'll never forget the first time I played that prologue. I was literally sitting in the dark, jaw dropped, already feeling like my heart had been ripped out. Naughty Dog didn't just make a zombie game, they made a human game. The relationship between Joel and Ellie is the gold standard for character development. Watching them go from cold strangers to a father-daughter bond that would burn the world down for each other, that's writing at its peak. The gameplay is so tense, too. It's not about being a superhero, it's about survival. Every brick you throw and every shiv you craft feels like a life or death decision. The sound of a clicker in a dark hallway still gives me actual chills. And the villains. Sometimes the monsters aren't the ones with fungus growing out of their heads. They're the desperate people you meet along the way. It's a beautiful, miserable, and hopeful journey all at once. Even if you aren't a fan of horror or stealth, the emotional payoff here is something you just can't miss. It's a game that stays in your head for weeks after the credits roll, and that's the mark of a true 10 out of 10. Number 3, Half-Life 2. Alright, let's go back to a game that literally changed the physics of gaming, Half-Life 2. Even in 2026, the gravity gun is still one of the coolest things ever put in a video game. I remember the sheer wonder of being able to pick up a saw blade or a radiator and launch it at a Combine soldier. Valve didn't just give us a shooter, they gave us a world that felt tangible. Walking into City 17 for the first time, seeing that giant citadel looming over the skyline, and hearing the Welcome to City 17 announcement, it was so incredibly immersive. Gordon Freeman doesn't say a single word, yet you feel like the most important person in that resistance. The pacing is what really blows me away. One minute you're in a high-speed boat chase, the next you're playing a horror game in Ravenholm. We don't go there, right? And then you're leading a full-scale urban revolution. It never gets boring. The AI of the Combine was so ahead of its time, forcing you to think and move instead of just camping. It's a masterclass in game design that proves you don't need cutscenes every 5 minutes to tell a legendary story. It's pure, unfiltered gameplay, and it's perfect. 4. Far Cry 3.
Finally, for this first batch, we have the game that perfected the open-world chaos formula, Far Cry 3. I think we can all agree that Voss Montenegro is one of the greatest villains of all time, right? His definition of insanity monologue still lives rent-free in my head. He wasn't just a boss to beat, he was a force of nature that made you genuinely nervous every time he appeared on screen. Taking Jason Brody from a spoiled tourist to a jungle warrior felt like a real gritty transformation. The freedom you have on Rook Island is just insane. I remember spending entire afternoons just scouting outposts with my binoculars, tagging enemies, and then deciding, do I go in quiet with a bow, or do I crash a jeep through the front gate and let a caged tiger loose? The wingsuit, the crafting, the radio towers, everything just clicked. It had that just one more thing loop that kept me up until 3 a.m. way too many times. It captured that feeling of being lost in a beautiful but deadly paradise perfectly. It's the peak of the series for me, and it set a bar for open-world shooters that many games are still trying to reach today.
Number 5, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Man, where do I even begin with The Witcher 3? This isn't just an RPG, it's a standard setter. I remember the first time I rode Roach into Novigrad, the sheer scale of the city, the NPCs living their lives, the music. It was overwhelming in the best way possible. Geralt of Rivia is such a phenomenal protagonist because he's world-weary and cynical, but he's got this heart of gold buried under all that leather and silver. What really makes this a 10 out of 10 for me is that even the tiniest side quest feels like a masterpiece. You'll go in just looking for a lost frying pan and end up uncovering a deep, dark conspiracy. The monsters are grotesque and fascinating, and I love that the gameplay actually rewards you for being a scholar of the craft, brewing the right potions and oiling your blade before a big fight. The villains, especially the Wild Hunt themselves, feel like an unstoppable force of nature. And don't even get me started on the Blood and Wine expansion. It's practically a whole new game. My only minor gripe, the combat can feel a little floaty at times, but the storytelling is so rich that you just don't care. It's a game that respects your time and your intelligence. If you want to lose yourself in a world for 200 hours and still want more, this is the one. Number 6, Max Payne 3. Now let's switch gears to something much more visceral and gritty. Max Payne 3 is, in my opinion, the most polished third-person shooter ever made. Period. Rockstar went all in on the Euphoria physics engine here, and it shows. When Max dives through a window in slow motion, he doesn't just play an animation. His body reacts to the environment. He hits the floor hard, he stumbles, he feels heavy. I love the change of scenery to Sao Paulo. It's sweaty, colorful, and dangerous. Max himself is at his absolute lowest, a pill-copping, whiskey-soaked mess, and his noir-style narration is just legendary. The gunplay is pure art. Every bullet feels like it has weight, and the bullet time mechanic is so satisfying that I never got tired of it, even after 10 playthroughs. I really appreciated how the game doesn't let you carry a whole armory. You have 2 hands, so you carry 2 guns. It adds a tactical layer that a lot of shooters miss. It's a dark, violent, and incredibly stylish descent into madness. Some people didn't like the long cutscenes, but for me, they just added to that cinematic feel. It's a high-octane masterpiece that proves linear games can still be absolute kings of the genre. 7. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Hey you're finally awake. Those words are etched into the soul of every gamer. Skyrim is more than just a game, it's a second life. I remember the first time I saw a dragon fly over Bleak Falls Barrow. My heart actually skipped a beat. The beauty of Skyrim is that it doesn't tell you how to play. You want to be a master thief? Go for it. A powerful mage? Sure. A legendary blacksmith who just lives in a hut? Why not? It's the ultimate freedom simulator.
The world is so dense with secrets that I'm still finding new caves and quests even in 2026. The soundtrack by Jeremy Soule is honestly one of the greatest pieces of music ever composed. It makes every walk through the snowy mountains feel like a monumental journey. Sure, we've all joked about the bugs and the Radiant quests, but there is a specific magic in the Elder Scrolls that no other developer has been able to replicate. The sense of discovery when you stumble upon a hidden underground city like Blackreach is something I wish I could experience for the first time again. It's a game that defined a decade and continues to be the comfort food of the gaming community. It's not just a 10 out of 10, it's a permanent landmark in history.
There's a can of gas in my car that you
8. Grand Theft Auto 5. Last but definitely not least for this batch, Grand Theft Auto 5. Think about this. This game has survived 3 different console generations, and it still looks and plays better than most modern open worlds. The 3 protagonist system was a massive gamble that paid off perfectly. Switching between Michael's midlife crisis, Franklin's hustle, and Trevor's pure, unhinged chaos keeps the story feeling fresh and unpredictable. Trevor, in particular, is one of the most terrifyingly entertaining characters ever written. You never know if he's going to give you a hug or throw you off a bridge. Los Santos is a technical marvel. The way the city feels alive, from the traffic jams to the hikers in the hills, is just insane. The heists are the clear highlight for me. Planning them out and then seeing it all come together or fall apart is peak gaming. Whether you're just driving through the Winewood Hills listening to the radio or flying a jet under a bridge, the game just feels right. It's a biting satire of modern society that manages to be both hilarious and surprisingly deep. Rockstar created a playground that we're still playing in over a decade later, and that is the ultimate testament to its 10 out of 10 status. 9. Doom 2016. Man, talk about a comeback for the ages. Before Doom 2016 dropped, I think a lot of us were worried the series had lost its way, but the second that industrial metal soundtrack kicked in and I smashed my first demon's head into a wall, I knew Doom was back. This game is pure, distilled fun. It doesn't care about cover systems or reloading, it cares about speed. The glory kill mechanic is genius because it forces you to be aggressive. You don't run away to heal, you run at the monsters. It turned every fight into this high-speed chess match of gore. The level design is top tier too. It's got that old school verticality where you're jumping around Mars and hell like a caffeinated ninja. I love the Doomslayer as a protagonist because he doesn't need to say a word. His actions tell you everything you need to know about how he feels. He's there to rip and tear, and the game stays out of your way and lets you do exactly that. It's a rhythmic, violent masterpiece that makes you feel invincible. If you're having a bad day, there is no better therapy than putting on some Mick Gordon tunes and clearing out a room of Hell Knights. It's a 10 out of 10 that reminded everyone why we fell in love with shooters in the first place.
Number 10. Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I'm just gonna say it. Black Ops 2 was the absolute peak of the Call of Duty franchise. This was the moment where Treyarch really took the golden boy crown. I remember being blown away by the branching storylines. Your choices actually mattered. If you didn't save a certain character or messed up a mission, the ending actually changed. That was unheard of for a corridor shooter at the time. The dual timeline narrative between Alex Mason in the 80s and David Mason in 2025 was handled so smoothly, and Raul Menendez? Man, what a villain. He wasn't just a guy with a nuke. He was a tragic, charismatic leader that you almost felt bad for. The multiplayer was also the most balanced it's ever been. The Pick 10 system changed everything, giving us the freedom to build classes that actually suited our playstyle. And let's not forget the zombies mode. Mob of the Dead and Origins are still to this day some of the best co-op experiences I've ever had with my buddies.
It was a game that offered a massive amount of content and polished every single bit of it to a mirror finish. Whether you were a campaign nut or a multiplayer sweat, this game gave you a 10 out of 10 experience. It's the one COD I find myself going back to more than any other.
11. Bloodborne. Now let's talk about a game that is quite literally a work of art, Bloodborne. I'm a huge fan of the Souls games, but Bloodborne is the one that owns my heart. The shift from medieval fantasy to this gothic Victorian nightmare in Yharnam was a stroke of genius. I'll never forget the first time I realized the game wasn't just about werewolves, it was about cosmic eldritch horror. The atmosphere is so thick it feels like it's choking you. The sound of the wind whistling through the cathedrals and the distant screams of the townspeople, it's unsettling in the best way possible. The gameplay is a masterpiece of aggression. Removing the shield was the bravest thing From Software ever did. It forced me to learn the rally system. If I got hit, I had to hit back harder to get my health back. It turned every encounter into a high-stakes dance. The trick weapons are also the coolest weapons in gaming history. Switching a saw cleaver from a short-range blade to a long-reach weapon mid-combo feels incredible. It's a punishing game, sure, but the sense of accomplishment when you finally take down a boss like Father Gascoigne or Lady Maria, it's a high you can't get anywhere else. It's a haunting, perfect nightmare.
12. Metro 2033. Closing out this batch is Metro 2033, a game that defines immersion. I've never played a shooter that felt so physical. Everything in the Moscow tunnels feels heavy and dangerous. I love the analog nature of the gear. You have to manually pump your flashlight to keep it charged, and you're constantly wiping blood and mud off your gas mask. When you're running low on air and your mask starts to crack, the panic is real. It's not just about shooting mutants, it's about managing your resources. Using high-grade military bullets as actual currency is a brilliant mechanic that makes you think twice about every shot you fire. The world building is where this game hits its 10 out of 10 status. Seeing how different factions have rebuilt society in the ruins of the subway, stations turned into mini cities with bars and markets, is fascinating. It's a dark, depressing world, but it's filled with these small moments of humanity and hope. Artyom's journey is quiet and personal, and the environmental storytelling is top tier. You don't need a map full of icons when the world itself tells you where to go. It's a moody, atmospheric survival shooter that proves you don't need a huge budget to create a world that feels completely real. It's a masterpiece of tension.
13. Batman Arkham Asylum. I still remember the skepticism when Batman Arkham Asylum was first announced. Another licensed superhero game? Probably gonna be mediocre, right? Man, were we wrong. Rocksteady didn't just make a good Batman game, they made the definitive Batman experience. Walking through those front gates as the Batmobile pulls up, with the rain slicking your cape and the Joker laughing over the intercom, it was pure magic. What makes it a 10 out of 10 for me is how tight and focused it is. It's not a bloated city yet. It's a dark, gothic Metroidvania where every hall of the asylum feels haunted by a different villain. The free-flow combat literally changed action games forever. That rhythm of striking and countering felt so natural, so powerful. It finally made you feel like you actually were the world's greatest detective. And the stealth? Hanging from a gargoyle while thugs panic below you is a peak gaming high. I'll never forget the first Scarecrow sequence, where the game makes you think your console is crashing. That kind of creativity is so rare. It's a perfect, atmospheric nightmare that understands the character better than most movies do. Even after all these years, the vibe of the Asylum is unmatched.
Next up is Rise of the Tomb Raider, and honestly, this is the moment where Lara Croft truly reclaimed her throne. The first reboot was great, but Rise is where the gameplay and the world building became a masterpiece. The setting of Siberia is breathtaking. I've spent so much time just standing on a cliffside, watching the snow deform under Lara's boots and the wind whip through the trees. It's a gorgeous game, but it's the tomb part that makes it a 10 out of 10. The puzzles are actually clever. The scale of the ancient architecture is humbling, and finding a hidden entrance behind a waterfall feels like a genuine discovery. Lara herself feels so much more grounded and capable here. The combat gives you so many options. You can be a ghost in the bushes with a bow, or you can go full Rambo with an assault rifle, and both feel equally satisfying. What I love most is the Metroidvania flow. Getting a new piece of gear and remembering a cave you saw 3 hours ago is such a rewarding loop. It's a game that respects your curiosity and rewards you for exploring every nook and cranny. It's the ultimate adventure game, polished, exciting, and filled with a genuine sense of wonder. (15) Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Closing out our list is the game that made me fall back in love with the high seas, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Look, I know it's an Assassin's Creed game, but let's be real. This is the greatest pirate game ever made. Edward Kenway is easily my favorite protagonist because he's a bit of a jerk at first. He's just out for gold and glory, and watching him grow into something more is a fantastic journey. The first time you take the wheel of the Jackdaw and sail into a massive storm while your crew starts singing Leave Her Johnny, man, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. The transition from running around a vibrant city like Havana to diving off your ship and swimming to a deserted island for treasure is completely seamless. The naval combat is pure, loud, smoky perfection. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, more satisfying than taking down a massive man-o'-war and boarding it in the middle of a hurricane. It captured a sense of freedom that the series hasn't quite touched since. It's a sunny, violent, and emotional epic that proves that when you give a developer a clear vision and a beautiful world, they can create something truly immortal. And that is our list. 15 games that aren't just great, they are legendary. These are the titles that remind us why we spend so much time with a controller in our hands. But now, I want to hear from you. Which of these is your personal 10 out of 10? Is there a game you think I'm crazy for leaving out, or one that changed your life? Drop a comment below and let's get into it. I read as many as I can.